Hey guys, thanks for coming to another video. It's Dread Dwells here. Today, you're going to be hearing some stories about creepy clowns. Grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite drink, lay back, and get ready to hear some bone-chilling tales. Back in the summer of 2016, when I was just 15 years old, a wave of bizarre clown sightings had swept across the country. It was during that unsettling time that my mother, little sister, and I embarked on a road trip to visit my grandparents. On our way back home, while passing through Georgia, we made a pit stop at a dimly lit gas station at around 6 a.m. My sister and I were fast asleep, completely unaware of the impending terror. As I dozed in the back seat, my mother left the car, leaving my sister still sound asleep. Allow me to set the scene for you. My sister and I were lying side by side on the back seat, with her head positioned on the opposite side of the car. This arrangement allowed me a clear view out her window, a detail that would soon prove significant. Suddenly, as I was dozing, I was jolted from my groggy state by a blood-curdling, high-pitched laughter that seemed almost otherworldly. In that disorienting moment, I questioned if I had somehow slipped into a nightmarish, lucid dream. However, the cold reality quickly seeped in. I sat up at a 90-degree angle and gazed through the windshield, only to witness a sight that defied all reason and sanity. There, in the parking lot, before my disbelieving eyes, stood a man with a red balloon, resembling the original Pennywise, but in a dirtier and more disheveled state. I watched in shock as he moved from person to person, his wicked laughter ringing in their faces. He slowly approached a young girl, no older than 6, and her mother. Pinching the girl's cheek, he invaded her personal space, whispering,
"Hey, princess, wanna be my friend?"
When the mother struck him and screamed at him to get away, he unleashed another manic burst of laughter. Then, like a demented puppet, he skipped over to my mother's car, locking eyes with me as I trembled under my blanket. He pressed his face against the window with a force that sent shivers down my spine, pointing and cackling mercilessly at me. Desperately, I pulled the covers over my head, hoping to hide from his gaze, but his laughter pierced the veil of the fabric. I could even hear him attempting to jiggle the door handle, his deranged actions provoking a primal fear within me. It was only when the brave mother from before threatened to call the police that he finally retreated, his laughter echoing into the distance. His departure from my car marked a reprieve, but the memory of his eerie presence and unsettling laughter remained etched into my mind. Later that day, merely 45 minutes after our encounter, we stumbled upon an active search for a missing person in a forest near the road, not far from the gas station. Whether that clown was connected to the search or not, I cannot say. However, as we drove past, a chilling realization washed over me. The unnerving thought that could have easily been my sister or me as the subject of that search party. Now, at 19 years old, I consider myself a horror enthusiast, reveling in movies, gore, scary stories, and even ghost hunting. However, the details of that bizarre and haunting experience have never faded from my mind. Though I felt a mix of fear and anger at the time, I now recognize the value of having a spine-chilling tale to recount. Nevertheless, contemplating what might have unfolded if the car doors hadn't been locked, or if fate hadn't taken a sinister turn, leaves me feeling nauseous. So, to the maniacal clown who so brazenly assaulted my mother's car window with his presence, I implore you, let us never cross paths again. Before I begin, let me provide a little backstory. I was about 10 years old, spending my summer in my hometown. I lived in a small, tight-knit town called Millbrook, where everyone knew each other. My parents were familiar with the locals, which is why they allowed me to venture out on my own that day. Now, let me recount my chilling encounter. During our summer vacation, my parents had plans to attend a wedding. As they were getting ready, I stayed home with them while my older sister went over to a friend's house. The rest of our relatives had already departed for the wedding. Initially, I was supposed to stay home alone. However, the sun was shining brightly, and the day seemed too perfect to waste indoors. I mustered the courage to ask my parents if I could go to a nearby park, just a couple of blocks away. Although they had concerns about my safety, without supervision, I insisted that it was a beautiful day and the park would surely be bustling with activity. After some persuasion, they relented, with the condition that I return home before the sunset. Excited, I rushed outside, eager to make the most of my time at the park. It took me no more than 10 minutes of walking to reach my destination. As I arrived at the park, I was filled with anticipation and the hope of making new friends. However, what I encountered sent shivers down my spine. The place appeared desolate and abandoned, a haunting scene. This struck me as odd, since it was one of the 2 parks in our entire city. It should have been teeming with laughter and play, yet an eerie silence prevailed. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, I paid it no mind and proceeded inside. I headed toward the swing set or the slide. I can't recall the exact details, as it's been 12 years since that day, and began immersing myself in the play. Suddenly, a voice drifted towards me from the distance. I turned my gaze toward a gate, and there stood a clown, beckoning me to approach. Behind him, I noticed a white van, which I had previously dismissed as a mere delivery vehicle. Curiosity got the better of me, and I cautiously inched closer to the clown, stopping within a safe distance. In a chilling tone, the clown asked,
Hey kid, do you like clowns?
Shaking my head, I made it clear that clowns were not my cup of tea. Disappointed, he wore a gloomy expression before remarking,
Well, let me see if I can change that.
Opening the back of his van, I stole a glance inside and noticed only 2 boxes. Uncertain about their contents, I saw no seats, no posters, just an empty space. Being a child, I brushed off any concerns and observed as a clown produced a deflated balloon. Placing the nozzle between his lips, he blew air into the balloon, inflating it until it swelled with life. Securing it with a knot, he expertly twisted and shaped it into a balloon dog. With a flourish, he presented it to me, and a smile formed on my face. Encouraged by my response, he motioned for me to come closer. I complied, taking a few steps forward, and he handed me the balloon dog, asking,
Do you like it?
This time, I nodded eagerly, my smile unwavering. However, his own smile transformed into something sinister. It was a malevolent grin that made me instinctively take a step back. Leering at me, the clown proposed that I join him in his van to witness the rest of his tricks. Uncertain and apprehensive, I hesitated, explaining that the park's exit was on the opposite side and I wouldn't be able to climb over the small gate. Undeterred, he uttered words that continue to haunt me to this day.
Come a little closer, and I'll carry you over. We can have loads of fun in my van, kid.
His creepy grin remained etched on his face as he spoke. Instinctively, I retreated further, replying, No, it's okay, sir. The clown's grin contorted into a twisted mask of anger, as if he were annoyed by my response. He placed his hands on his hips, scolding,
Aw, but we were going to have so much fun.
Just as despair threatened to engulf me, a voice pierced through the air from the other end of the park, shouting, Son! Son! I'm here to pick you up! I turned my head and recognized the voice, a neighbor from our town. While he wasn't my actual father, I knew I had to run for him for safety. Without uttering a word to the clown, I sprinted toward the man and embraced him tightly. He waved casually at the clown and remarked, Thanks for keeping my kid entertained. The clown replied nonchalantly,
No problem.
As we walked away, I overheard the man mutter under his breath, Sick freak. Confusion and fear consumed me as I turned to the man and asked, Sir, what just happened back there? Letting out a sigh, he began to unravel the horrifying truth. The clown I had encountered was no ordinary entertainer. He was a notorious child kidnapper, targeting innocent kids all across the U.S. Disguised as a clown, he would lure unsuspecting children and whisk them away to an unknown fate. The residents of our town had sensed his arrival, which explained the deserted park. The man, coincidentally passing by, noticed my interaction with the clown and swiftly intervened to rescue me. As he shared this bone-chilling revelation, he dialed the police to report the incident. Finally, we reached my house. The man cautioned me to be cautious about whom I trust, reminding me that appearances can be deceiving. I embraced him one last time expressing my gratitude for saving me from that monstrous individual. With a gentle pat on my head, he said, "It's okay, my boy. Now hurry inside. I have my own concerns to attend to." Nodding, I rushed into the house, choosing to keep the encounter to myself. I knew that sharing it would only cause panic and distress among my loved ones. Over time, I managed to suppress the traumatic experience, burying it deep within my memories. However, sometimes I have a flood of terrifying recollections. I cannot say for certain what became of that sick individual, but I sincerely hope he's now behind bars where he belongs. About 2 years ago, my dad made an unsettling purchase. An old house destined for demolition to make way for a new one. This house, constructed in 1916, had a remarkably unconventional floor plan. While the central living room and kitchen appeared standard, the 3 bedrooms resembled separate apartments, complete with private bathrooms, individual outside entrances, and a connecting door leading to the common area. It left me wondering if the place had once served as a boarding house or something equally peculiar. The house's unsettling aura was further amplified by its all-wood interior. Unpainted, unplastered ceilings, walls, and floors. My dad, being a laid-back individual, had a rather eccentric idea to keep an eye on the vacant property. He allowed 3 of my friends to reside there free of charge, under the condition that they would watch the house. While parties became a regular occurrence, my dad didn't mind as long as they remained inconspicuous to the neighbors. On the rare occasions I returned home from college, I attended a few of those gatherings myself. Over time, 2 of my friends moved out, leaving one lone buddy to oversee the mostly vacant house. Unfazed by the solitude and half-empty rooms, he seemed content with the arrangement. One afternoon, I was at home when the phone suddenly rang. It was my friend, his voice trembling with terror. He urgently instructed me to call the police and meet him outside the house's driveway, emphasizing that I must not, under any circumstances, enter the premises. I anxiously asked for an explanation, and he proceeded to recount a horrifying tale. Having been bedridden with the flu for the last 2 days, he finally mustered enough strength to venture into the kitchen for sustenance. To his shock and horror, he encountered a deranged woman, donned in a clown suit and makeup, shrieking at him relentlessly. Terrified, he fled the house and dialed me in a panic from a nearby gas station. Without delay, I contacted the police and drove the 2-mile distance to the house. I found my friend standing on the sidewalk, visibly shaken. Desperate for more details, I pressed him for a description of the intruder. He repeatedly referred to her as a crazy clown woman, dressed in a white clown suit with smeared red makeup all over her face. His appearance, sickly and disheveled, added to the unnerving atmosphere, leaving me on edge. There was no way I would dare step foot in that house to investigate his claims. After what felt like an eternity, a police officer arrived at the scene. My friend repeated the same harrowing account to the officer, who then ventured inside while we anxiously waited outside. After a brief interval, he re-emerged, leading a woman who matched my friend's description precisely. She possessed wild, unkempt brown hair and wore a peculiar, baggy, all-white jumpsuit reminiscent of an unsettling outfit I once saw. But what truly sent shivers down our spines was her face. She had clumsily applied red lipstick all over her cheeks, as if attempting to create a rosy complexion. An unsettling sight, indeed. Despite our shared fear, the police officer found the situation amusing. The clown woman adamantly claimed ownership of the house and accused us of trespassing on her property while under the influence of drugs. In response, the officer instructed her to get into the back of a squad car, to which she retorted without a warning. She boasted of powerful connections in Tinseltown, who would ensure his dismissal from the force. Upon returning to us, the officer explained that he couldn't arrest her for breaking and entering since the house is already partially abandoned. The best he could do was drive her a few blocks away, hoping she wouldn't find a way back. Naturally, this revelation only intensified our trepidation. Fortunately, a background check revealed an outstanding warrant for her arrest, ensuring her incarceration. That marked the last time we encountered her. Upon re-entering the house, we discovered unsettling messages scrawled across the kitchen cabinets with the same red lipstick she had smeared on her face. The fridge contained a decaying fish dish that my friend neglected to eat, a meal she had cooked and devoured herself. Yet, the most chilling realization was that this deranged woman had been in close proximity to my friend for at least a day while he battled sickness and delirium. He had been feverish and semi-conscious in bed, leaving his door unlocked the entire time.